Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is August 25th, 2022, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, gold and oil bouncing back. But first, looking at the major economic events of today out of the United States at 2:30 South African time, we have a Jackson Hole Symposium, which is a yearly event that happens about consumer sentiment. So it is an important event that's coming out. Now, first, starting out with the Forex symbols, the Euro and the GBP both bouncing back. The Aussie being the strongest out of the three versus the dollar. Looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both bounced, not by much, but they did bounce. Looking at commodities, as mentioned, gold and oil did bounce back. And looking at stocks, ALCOA is resilient and strong while Google is weak and trading at the bottom of the range. We're going to take a look at that also. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin did bounce by a little, but did bounce. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're looking at the Euro 4-hour chart. We'd love to look at that. And we spiked above the 30-day moving average, but then petered out. So out of the three, between the Australian dollar, the Euro, and the GBP, the Euro is the weakest versus the dollar. It's always been that way, or most of the time it's been that way, and that is what's happening right now. We're going to take a look at the GBP and the Aussie in just a second. Now, just to give you perspective, again, we went from one parity about a month ago, and we traded all the way to 103. That's a 300 pip move, and now we're retraced over 400 pips and made a lower low for the year, a 0.9, and now we're bouncing to parity of 1 or just there. Okay, so I would say this is the top of the range right here, as you can see, and we are trading at the 30-day moving average right there. You can see it not crossing over, not selling off. But that is where we're at right now. So looking at a monthly chart, remember, this is my go-to just to give me perspective. Back in 2000, when we had the dot-com boom and bust, really the bust of 2000, we traded as low as 0.8 versus the dollar on the euro. So we still have room on the downside, technically speaking, okay, if the markets did further correct themselves. For right now, we did bounce, so just keep aware that you are at the top of the range here, so not a bad place to actually unload some and sell short a little bit just to test it out to see if it does come through. Now, looking at the Gbp Usd, was resilient, did go above the 30-day moving average, but also just trading on it right now. So this is a little bit stronger versus the USD, but not by much. Whereas if we look at the Australian dollar, it's way above the 30-day moving average. So this was the first one to go to. So anytime you're trading any one of them, the weakest one is the Euro, the strongest one is the Aussie, and you could, trade towards, if the markets are going up, you want to buy the Aussie. If the markets are going down, you want to short the Euro. That's the way you capitalize on the markets. Now jumping into commodities, look at this. Gold dipped right below our 1735-ish level of our Fibonacci retracement, and then we breached it, and then we came right back. So we're trading at 1761, not by much, but a decent enough bounce for us to come back. Okay, we did cross over the 30-day moving average. Okay, so that's really an important level on a daily chart. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now looking at crude oil, also trading right between our 30-day moving average and our 200-day moving average, and it's at the top of the range. Okay, so I would really say that this would possibly, kind of teeter out here, okay, as it's getting to this resistance previous support level right there. I mean, you can see it basically, it's just almost perfect here. Let's just highlight that for you to see it. That's support, and this is ultimately resistance. Okay, so just that's as perfect as it can get when you're looking at this, technically speaking. Now jumping to the US markets, the Dow Jones did get a bounce, 33,189, but it did sell off over 1,300 points from our high of 34,166. So keep that in mind. The market is bouncing back, but by how much? Okay, it's a little bit of a mixed bag when it comes to the stocks, and we'll see that right away. Looking at the NASDAQ, also did bounce a little bit to 13,000, but again, not by much, and it may have a end of the summer rally here, so that might still happen. We may make a double top here at 13,700-ish level. Now looking at the individual stocks, okay, this is where it's interesting. ALCOA, relatively strong, $54 at the top of its range, not making new highs, but relatively strong. Whereas when we look at Microsoft, for example, petered out here on the bottom of the range. If you look at Google, bottom of the range. So we're seeing weakness in big tech, and that's really an important thing as we're making corrections there. Okay, so I'm not saying everything is going up or everything's going down, but you're seeing the mixed kind of messages you're getting in the markets right now. Lastly, looking at Bitcoin, we bounced a little bit at 21,000, but all intents and purposes, let's look at a 4-hour chart that's a little bit clearer. We're right there, okay? We're between 25,000 and 21,000. We're at the bottom of that range. I think a daily would give us a little bit better of a perspective. There you go. So, you know, is it per se a, you know, must buy? No. But is your probability higher if you bought it at this range? Okay, anticipate it's going to go back to 25,000? Perhaps. Okay, that may still happen because it's just really trading in a very tight range. Okay, this has gotten really very tight since we sold off from the beginning of March all the way until now, as we're kind of, you know, having a soft landing here. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish everybody a great trading day. Thank you.